All right, what's up, everybody? We're here for www.getradrecords.com with the one, the only, Eric Melvin from NoFX.
Do you have to say www anymore? Isn't it like just presume that it's www? Is there anything other than www?
No, seriously,
Thanks,
we're
Nick.
here with Roger Lima, Rehasher, Less Than Jake, and the rest of the boys from Rehasher.
It's the first show of the tour tonight, Rehasher tour, 3 days.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Like
it's
we're so stoked you're here in Sanford. I know you could have had a choice of different rooms, to play. Was it a conscious decision for picking Sanford?
I have no idea. That would be directed that way. I'm kind of like not assuming these roles.
Nice.
Someone was like, hey, you want to play some shows? And I said, yeah. Well, when can you play them? How about the first weekend in January? Okay, cool. I'll make that happen.
Boom.
End of story.
That's
I know
awesome.
nothing else.
That's awesome.
it, honestly.
That's cool.
But yeah, I mean, but I have heard really good things about the place, and the vibe's been awesome, and it's perfect. It's gonna be the best night ever.
That's awesome. So, I mean, obviously, I make the joke about Eric Melvin, whatever, the dreads. How did that whole situation unfold with them asking you to NoFX asking you to fill in for Eric Melvin on guitar?
Yeah, I don't know. I just got real lucky. His wife was expecting twins, and there was kind of a wide window of when that could have been, and they had a bunch of shows every weekend that month.
Right.
And it just so happened that Less Than Jake was also on 3 of those shows anyway.
Okay.
And so yeah, Eric called me and was like, I was like, why is he calling me? I just had no idea. And I had no idea what it could have been, and I kind of lost my mind. But I knew well in advance, and I did learn a lot of songs for that. And then in the last week, Mike was like, "Oh, and you have to sing these songs too," So
Nice.
So it was kind of a fun musical challenge, and I love the band obviously, so it was awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. And,
I was really lucky and stoked to do that. I mean, we played show in Japan, dude, a huge festival. It blew my mind.
Yeah. Well, it was funny to me because it's okay, NoFX needs a fill-in guitarist. Let's pick Roger, the bass player.
Yeah, I think they were we could have got somebody that could really play guitar, but they didn't have dreads. And I was like, all right, cool, I'll take it.
I thought you ripped it, filling in wise. That's got to be kind of a tough situation, especially with as long as Less Than Jake's been together, to step into a band that's been that together. Was it a pretty easy transition as far as stepping in, assuming that role? Or was it just
just to the hangs and stuff? No, yeah. I mean those. I've known those guys for a long time and all that, so it didn't feel weird hanging out. It's definitely different musically because they're just a different monster. A lot of their live playing is more on feel. It's not to the clock so much. It's it's a different vibe. I've never played with a drummer like that.
Yeah.
He's got his own thing. It's just incredible. It's just so it was rad, man. I think after the first show, I was like, I feel it. I get it, and I was definitely wanting to be well prepared so I could have fun and look at the crowd and smile. I didn't want to be worried about what the chord was. I just wanted to be real natural. So
nice. And
it was awesome, man.
The shows turned out.
I actually have a lot of footage from it that it's still just sitting on my hard drive that I haven't put out there or anything. I have full shows of it because that was an epic moment in my life. I mean, it's crazy.
You heard it here first.
When Mike told me he was like, we've never played a show without Melvin ever.
Wow.
And I was like, that's just fun to be the guy, whatever. But
that's awesome.
It was awesome, and everybody else around was super supportive, and the guys in my band were totally chill about me overplaying NoFX songs on tour and stuff.
Nice.
So it's good. It's good things. All good things. I learned a lot.
So as far as Gainesville rock, Gainesville music scene. I know you came up from Miami in college, and now you've done it on the ultimate level with Less Than Jake. You could be anywhere in the world. What makes it about Gainesville that makes you want to base out of there, to work out of there?
I don't know how to say it. It's my hometown, it's hard to explain. When you travel a lot, I do that, and you see all these bigger cities and, traffic and just highways and all this crap. I don't want that at home. At home, it's just the traffic that's there is already enough, I don't want it to be too busy. And I like the heat, I like Florida. Cool. And I don't know, man. It's just where the band is from, and I'm in the band, so that's where I live.
Right.
I don't know. I love it. I love it. Yeah. It's a great town.
So, kind of our mission statement for Get Rad is really about unifying Florida music scene, whether you're a punk ska band, whether you're like with the Murmurs, Tony's and the Murmurs, which is like horror surf rock, and then the stuff with the Duppies. Do you think that Florida could ever build a scene similar to what San Francisco did, Austin, Texas, Buffalo, New York? What would it take to do that here? Or is it possible?
Florida's just a little weird. I think it's a little weird. I think like a lot of old people have to die, and maybe there'll be some younger people
but
that
then
would do that. But I don't.
That's what they do when they get old. They die.
I don't know. It's just that I feel like we're a little backwards, man. Like with certain things, and like it's not as progressive, and there's definitely like this weird competition sort of thing in the scenes around here.
Yeah.
I feel like, but back in the day, like we would like be doing van shows and stuff. It didn't feel like that. We'd play in Daytona, and it felt like home. You know, like it felt normal, and we would play. Like tiny shows like in Tampa, like and it just felt the same.
Well, like I was telling you, like the first time I ever saw Less Than Jake was at UCF Student Center, which was like maybe 100-person venue. Along those lines, if you had to start over today with your knowledge, how would you approach to get to that level of?
Well, I have no idea. I mean, the world's so different, the way that music is consumed and sort of, it's kind of digested and then like it's kind of done. Like it's like less likely. I feel like that like the new generation of listeners kind of like get super into one band. It's just like they just kind of float around genres and like somebody can be like, oh, I like this punk. I like this Pennywise song, and then I really like this like DJ song,
right?
Like, and that's sort of the same in their world. I don't know. It just feels it's like easier access to music now, so it's like people could be more picky.
Well, and I think that makes
there's way more bands. There's a gajillion more bands.
So much stuff being produced. It's like everybody has a studio at their house.
Right.
Exactly. Wink, wink. But yeah, it's just there's a billion bands. There's a billion recordings of a billion bands. It's endless. It's crazy.
Well, I'd like your take on this, but I feel like it makes bands in general a little more lazy as far as self-promoting, doing the things that, like we talked about the stencil spray paint stuff and flyering. I feel, it kind of, it's changed in that way where you're just not really pushing. You create
I don't think all of them are like that.
No, not all of them.
I will call that out as total bullshit.
Okay.
And
This is Alex.
Boom.
hi guys.
Alex, you're off the interview.
I think that in today's world, you have to. There's so much noise because there's so many people competing for attention. So if I'm starting a band, that means I gotta bust my ass extra hard because there's 1,000 people you could be listening to, right? So I gotta be the one thing that you hit play on.
Right.
And so for me, I think that makes me thinking about that. I mean, how many people are out there doing that DIY thing? I got to out DIY those guys.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think that makes today's musicians more lazy. I think that in order to get noticed, you have to work way harder than everybody else because we don't have the convenience of labels and marketing teams and all that shit that you can get signed up for.
Yeah.
And even the labels now, the labels are just your bank basically. I mean, I know I've seen a lot of bands out on the road that are just like, yeah, our label basically fronted the money for our record and that's it, and we're doing everything else.
Yeah.
And so I mean, it's hard out there, man.
Right.
Even for the guys that are on the big boys. So.
Yeah. And kind of
Right. He's in a lot of bands, does a lot of touring, and plays a lot of shows. He's got his feet on the ground.
That's
he's
awesome.
talking about.
So
I'm way out of touch. I'm in a bubble,
well, and that's kind of like as far as Less Than Jake goes, I feel was like that last generation of getting that deal of
Absolutely.
the
We got
Capitol Records
lucky,
deal.
We got lucky twice, and it was towards the end of that, like before the dinosaurs died, so to speak.
Right.
It was
Exactly.
like, we got in right at the end there, we got really lucky.
And how
And
much
we're
is
just old. We're older than everybody, so that's why we're lucky.
so as far like so
Couple songs.
what would the expectation of Rehasher be for for taking it to that next level? Are you content with like let's just put out our own stuff, let's tour when we want to, is it finding that niche of comfortability, or is it like no
Comfortability. I gotta
thank
Google
you,
that one.
it's a real one, so is it in your psyche, is it let's take it to there, or is it let's get here where we can control and we don't have to answer to
I live in the moment way too much. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have a plan, so to speak.
right
This band was pretty much dead at some point.
right
And then he called me, and I had recorded some of the bands that he was playing in, and he said, "Hey man, me and Tony are wanting to play some punk stuff. Like if you hear of anybody, like let me know, because we're not playing in punk bands anymore. I'm playing in soul band. He's playing in surf band. Like blah blah." And then I was like, literally, I said, "Well, fuck it, let's just play Rehasher shows."
Yes.
It's exactly what I said.
That's
And-
awesome.
And the answer was, "Yeah, fuck yeah, let's do that. Let's do
In
it."
my fucking mind, I never thought that would happen. It's like, I got the first album in high school, and if you could have broken a CD player in your car, I would have broken it. And then, getting a call of like,
Actually break your CD player.
I did, yeah, I did. But to get that call of like, oh, hey, learn these songs and show up to practice was super surreal. I would have never imagined.
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this. So what's for you guys, it's got to be a different mindset of, okay, shit, we're in this band with Roger, and for you guys, is it like, all right, chop time, let's do it, or is it like, the cohesion of a band, is it like really easy to
For me, I kind of feel like it's a little bit of both. It's like you want to have, you definitely playing in a band with a guy like Roger, you get your chops up. You just have to. You have to be a certain, I don't know, shred level, I guess.
Sure. So what would your shred level be?
Out of a 10, like 1 to 10, I'm maybe like a 5.5.
5.5. What's his shred level?
His shred level on a good day is like a solid 9.
Solid 9.
Yeah.
Wow.
I will say, so for me, I'd never played like at the speed that Rehasher is known for.
Right.
And so like to get the beat that like Jake Crown like laid down on like the first couple records, it took me like 3 months of practice.
Wow.
It's like seriously. And then I had still like Roger be like, all right, you gotta kind of feel it like this, and then it took me about another month to get that. So.
I don't want to tell you to play it like this, but just play it like that.
Well, no, it's more just like about feeling that.
That's what
Yeah,
Trace
it's
does.
nuts to play,
Syncopation. Oh, it wasn't plugged in the whole time.
Oh, we weren't running.
Anyway, yeah, I think that it was seriously a challenge trying to get ready to do this stuff.
Sure.
It's just like that wasn't in my arsenal. So
Right.
Anyway.
But then it's like at the same time, so much of it is also let's have fun with it. It's
Right.
like we did a run to the Northeast earlier last year, and even at practice, it's all just jokes and like let's nail the songs, but let's have a really, really good time doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Being in a band. For me, it's just like this is fun, and I have a lot of music going on. Like there's obviously like Listen Jake's my main gig, and we're on tour a lot.
Sure.
But the studio has been busier and busier, and I'm working with other bands and working on their songs. I got
Ha-
Mass Intruder coming in for the
Yes.
next record in March.
Nice.
I have their songs floating in my head. I have
That's cool.
all these other songs, these Rehasher songs that some of them kind of mean something to me. They've been around. They're
Yeah.
more personal. They're my lyrics and shit like
Right.
that. So I still want to get that out of my system. And there's going to be other songs that come up that these are like Listen Jake type songs, and then they'll grow onto that tree. But there's going to be other songs that are going to grow onto this tree. It's like for me, it's just kind of like more. I can't get enough.
Right.
I would want more of everything.
Has there ever been like an animosity type where anybody in Less Than Jake's like, dude, why isn't that a Less Than Jake song? Or as far as the creative process that way?
Well, a lot of the newer stuff, I kind of filter through before it goes. Those guys hear a bunch of the demos that I make before it gets decided or whatever. Like we're playing a song tonight that it just never developed as a Less Than Jake song.
Nice.
But there was one song that's on a Greenhorn record that JR actually was like, he was like, dude, I'm jealous of this song, man.
Well, that was
that was like, you know, me and Jen doing songs, so that was like kind of not even related to this, but that was like more created in the moment. It wasn't like it was mine, and I didn't bring it to those guys. It was just me and Jen's song.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that kind
So
of
it's
leads me
funny,
into
too.
my next question is Greenhorn. Like, where are you at with Greenhorn? Is that still a thing?
Jen is like one of my good friends, and we collaborate well. And we did the Greenhorn thing. We had a lot of fun with it. Her and I hang out and are in the same space, if that makes any sense.
Nice.
And actually just finishing up her band's record, because I've recorded them a few times, but this time we actually were like, okay, let's like really make a really solid full record that's you know, well thought out and all that kind of stuff. And just putting the finishing touches on the No More record. And then her and I are still working together in that realm. So I think, you know, the next phase for her and I doing something is probably some more Greenhorn songs.
I'm a fan. Greenhorn is it's just such a cool dynamic.
It's different, man. But it's like I was saying before, it's like just another one of my like functions of my brain where like I speak a lot of musical languages, and I like to do different stuff. I like to do slow reggae. I like to do super fast punk rock. I like to do mid-tempo college harmonic stuff with a girl singer. Like that's
right.
It's all up my alley. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's, you know, I read where you know, ranked your favorite Less Than Jake albums and you put Anthem as number one. Is that because of that freedom of, at that time period, I know it was, you know, that Capitol Records stuff was, you know, just as an outside perspective, kind of looked a little bit more out of your guys' control. It was Anthem more creatively you guys after a couple
No, I mean, for the first two Capitol Records was Losing Streak and Hell Rock for You, and those were like, I mean, they had zero influence on what the record was like. They really didn't care.
Really?
They just wanted to put it out. And it was, you know, we were completely in control. We had a great relationship with the producer and all that, and it was all gravy, like no biggie. And then we were on Warner Brothers for Anthem. Anthem was on Warner Brothers, and
I have a question.
And it was when Anthem was going down. You know, we had a long time to sort of like prepare for that, so we had written like 40-something songs.
Wow.
So there was a lot to pick through.
Yeah.
And producer was Rob Cavallo, Green Day's producer,
Yeah.
and I ranked that really highly. A lot of it's because of the experience with him, because
Sure.
he was like a master of like making this come out on the track the way that it feels. He was just amazing producer. I mean, there's no other way to say it, you know. And no, but I mean, the songs that are on the record on Anthem, you know, I feel like we were all on the same page, and they didn't like influence it in any way. And then, especially on the B is for B-side stuff, that was the other songs that we wrote for Anthem.
Right.
Those songs, like they weren't even there. Like we were recording vocals for that, you know, like at night after everybody was gone, and I was running the machine.
Nice.
Like we were doing that way on like, oh, just do that whenever you have time.
Sure.
So like that was even more like they had no idea what was going on. It was on the following record that I started to feel a little bit of like, oh, you know, you guys should, you know, play a song that's a little bit more like this.
Right.
Like, but
and I
for
think
Anthem, it was like everything was perfect.
And the climate was kind of changing after that kind of 2003 Anthem era. Like I feel like there was a climate change, and it's like,
yeah, they were trying to chill us out a little bit, and you know, maybe it's get into the more of the ballad side of the band, which is cool. But you know, on some of those songs on In With the Out Crowd, like I was this tempo was much higher when I was working on this song before we came here. You know, I just had a bit more rock and roll, a bit more energetic, and a lot of those songs came out chill. I love a lot of the songs on that record, and I even like the chill ones, and it's still fun to play. But I just feel like the process of the producing and stuff kind of like was trying to like take a little bit of the edge off a little bit.
So, so you mentioned Warner Brothers. Can you talk about the Greased album? Like what's the
that was like so far before any of that. We just did that on our own.
One had nothing to do with the other.
No, yeah, the Greased record, we were on our own before any of that shit went down, and like.
So there was like rumors. I was like, oh, they put this out just like willy-nilly, unlicensed. Was that like? Is there truth to any of that? And how did that kind of?
I mean, it was. I don't really get the question. I was like, do you get this question?
I was in middle school.
We just.
Well, like the whole story. The whole like.
Yeah. He was playing with G.I. Joes, man.
The whole.
Why are you asking him.
The whole story behind it was just like, oh, they just put this out, you know.
We did. I mean, we didn't have
licensing,
it wasn't like
no
a label.
permission.
We didn't like really, but you know, at that time it was like, it was a little bit more Wild West. Like we
Right.
were just putting it out there. It wasn't meant to be a digital thing. It was just
Right.
a collector vinyl thing, and
So,
it's like Var did it right, and it's like whatever.
So
I didn't really think about it. I think we only took 2 days to record the thing.
Hey man,
I think the artwork probably had way more thought and like time committed than the actual tracks. When I listen to it, I'm like, oh no, we could do this so much better now.
well, a 13-year-old me loved it.
I love
so-
those songs, and it's like just goes with the whole theory of that time frame and the early stages of the band. We were just having fun,
Well, and
we wanted to make records, and we wanted to do goofy shit, and
Right.
put out as many things as we could, and that's how it was.
So,
Good times.
One last question about losing streak. Okay, Howard J. Reynolds.
Okay.
You can't even hear that story anymore unless you've got like an old school
Right,
CD
yeah,
player,
yeah.
like the secret track, which you guys did like a giveaway for the whole deal.
Yeah.
So the premise behind that, the backstory of Howard J. Reynolds, real guy.
Oh, you want the backstory on Howie?
Yeah, like how did that?
All right, here's the backstory on Howie. So we were, me and Chris were sharing a room, and we were sharing an apartment with Vinny and his then girlfriend.
Okay.
And we lived in this really rinkety, inexpensive thing in Gainesville called Park 16 Apartments. R.I.P. They tore it down, put some new fancy shit there. Anyway, so Chris and Vinny met this dude, Howie, that lived in our apartment complex, and he was just like this old kind of goofy, semi-perverted old dude that he was still studying at the University of Florida, studying drama, and he was he had all these monologues, and he was kind of he wasn't a comedian, but he was like a one of those characters
He
that
was
was
definitely
stand up
a comedian. 'Cause that's
well, it wasn't it wasn't like stand up vibe. It was just
Right.
I'm gonna tell really weird, semi-perverted, semi-dirty second grade humor story, and he was just an odd dude. But he was fun,
Yeah.
and he made us laugh, and we actually loved him for a long time. It was great. So a lot of that stuff was he would just tell these stories, or he would have it written down and he would read it and be like, what do you think of this? And tell stories. And then at some point it was dude, we got to sit down and record this, man. So I sat him on the couch in my room where we had the little demo studio, and he just picked up a microphone like I am right now and just read through a whole bunch of his stuff.
It's so
And
funny.
there's tons of it.
Really?
Yeah.
You should release that as just a spoken word Henry Rollins, but just Howie J. Reynolds.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe at some point he thought that we were rich, and we had left him in the dirt. And I don't think that things I've seen him a couple times over the years, but I haven't seen him in probably 5 years.
Really?
No, I haven't seen him in it's been 7 years probably.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
He was awesome though. So that's the backstory on Howie, and he would come to shows and full on crowd surf
Yeah.
and dance on stage, and he was dude, he was old. He was a friend. He was just 70, but he was our bro.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So tonight's the first show for this, this string of shows you're doing. What's next for you guys? How, as far as your next few dates, you staying around Florida?
Yeah, man, 3 shows: Florida, Orlando, or Sanford, excuse me, Tampa, and then show in Gainesville. Just kind of a good week.
Not Tampa.
Where is it?
St. Pete.
Oh, it's in St. Pete. Damn, I gotta edit all my posts now. This sucks. Tampa, St. Pete, whatever, same difference. Sanford, Orlando, Gainesville, Archer.
Is that a thing?
Newberry.
Newberry.
Yeah, man, just having a fun weekend together and play some fast songs. We actually practiced a couple times, which I'm proud of. And and then next weekend I'm recording a band, and then Less Jake has some shows in Canada, and then I'm gonna come back and do some more studio stuff, and then we have a full tour in February. And we did start tracking a couple songs, and try to have a couple new Rehasher songs out in the foreseeable near future.
Nice.
I don't have a label or anything.
I got one.
Yeah.
If you, I can help you out with that. If you
I don't
need
know.
some,
These songs,
distro or something.
These songs are they really should be on Fat Records. I don't know if Get Rad can,
Get Rad can hang. It's fun. Fat Records. Who is that?
No, yeah, we'll see.
I've got the belly for it.
Yeah, man.
Seriously.
We're having fun, man.
Thank you guys so much for sitting down. We really appreciate it, and
Excellent. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you so much for we really are trying to unite Florida's scene, and I feel you do a great job of doing that and being kind of the Florida man ambassador.
I'll take this title. Thanks. I think that's cool. It's what you're doing, though. You know, and I know what you're saying. Like, in a small community like in Gainesville, you kind of feel that already. You know, like
Right.
it's if it's like a punk band and they're playing with like, you know, a college rock band, or there's a ska band on the bill, or there's like a high school band that's like trying to figure their stuff out and they're playing with like, they're opening for like an old school Gainesville band that hasn't played in a couple years, but you know, they're still in town. Like everyone like works together and it kind of pulls together, and you share gear and you high five and you have beers together. It's like there's no like lines, you know, with like genre or like age or popularity or any of that. It just doesn't exist. I mean, that's kind of probably one of the reasons I am the way that I am, because I'm from Gainesville, and I can just go to the Atlantic and just hang with the dudes that just started a band last week, and there's no like, it's not weird.
Right.
You know, and like trying to get that like, you know, solidified in a larger area is not an easy task, but I know where you're coming from, you know. That's cool.
You know, it's got to start somewhere, and like a lot of people talk about whatever, but
All right, so
know.
you need a Get Rad Florida compilation where it's bands from all different cities in Florida, but they're all playing the same song,
You guys
but
are
in their own style.
Oh,
But it's got to be like a epic song, like Bohemian Rhapsody, like a crazy song where like there's so many interpretations of how it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll do like the 30-second version. Yeah.
That would be great. So you heard it here first. Less Than Jake's going to put out...
No, Less Than Jake's not doing it.
I'm totally kidding, man.
That'd be awesome.
Thank you, guys.
man, thanks a lot, dude.
Is there anything else you guys want to put out there, or anything you need to...
Oh, we're accepting cryptocurrencies for merch tonight.
Boom.
Yeah, but it's our own Bitcoin. It's called Buttcoin.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Can I mine it? Or do you have to mine it?
That's the best question yet. Can I mine it? No, I get to mine it, dude.
Damn it. All right. Well, thanks, you guys. Seriously, thank you so much. That
was
awesome, man. Thank you.
Yeah, Nick, thank you, man.
Tony, Alex, thank you so much, man.
See, the Buttcoin joke has legs.